In this lesson, we're gonna learn how to clone objects on a text. So first of all, let's create the clone object, and let's go ahead and reset the position and the rotation. And now I'm gonna click on the text, and again we're gonna reset that. Let's hide the clone for a moment, and I'm gonna change the text. Let's go to text and let's type motion. And I'm gonna change the font to impact, and I'm gonna go to layout, and I'm gonna increase the spacing between the letters. So let's go ahead and increase that, something like that. And I'm gonna go to geometry to extrude the text. Let's go ahead and extrude it a little bit. And now let's go ahead and maybe scale it a little bit to make it big. Let's see the size compared to the clone. It's fine. So let's go to cloner, and let's go to layouts and change it to a mesh. As you remember, I talked about this option. You can't clone objects on 3D shapes or actors. So if I click on the pic and click on that, nothing happens. So basically we need to convert the text to a static mesh. So we can do that with some tools inside motion design. So if I go to operator task, make sure first select the text and then go to operator task, and under the modifiers you should see this option called dynamic mesh converter. So now if I click on convert to static mesh asset, this will ask me the location where you want to save the file. So let's select the mesh and let's call it static mesh text and click save. And now I can delete this text. Let's delete it, or we can hide it too, doesn't matter. So let's go to mesh and drag it now in the viewport. Let's reset the position and scale it up. And here we have it. And now if I go ahead to the cloner and click on pick and pick that, now you can see everything works fine. And let's go now to the count and increase the count. Maybe let's set it to 400. And let's go ahead and decrease the size. We can decrease the cube size from here, or you can go to the cloner and under the range you can enable that, and you can decrease it from here too. So let's go ahead and enable the scale uniform and decrease it 0.2, let's say by 0.5. This will add random scale to each box. And the first thing you will notice, the objects are not distributed evenly on the text. You can see we have very dense areas, and here we don't have anything. So the reason is because if I go ahead to the wireframe, you can see we have less geometry or less faces or less vertices in these areas. And you can see this letter is more dense, and you can see we have more vertices in these areas. As you remember, if I go to layout, you can see here we have the sample data is vertices. So basically we are copying the mesh on the vertices. Even if you switch to triangles, it will not change too much because we have less triangles there and we have more triangles in this area. So if I increase that maybe to 1000, and again this didn't fix the problem. So let's go back to vertices. So what we need to do is to remesh the text. You can do that in other 3D applications. For example, in Blender or Maya, you can export the text to the 3D software and remesh that and bring it back. But in Unreal Engine, we have new modeling tools. We can do that inside Unreal Engine. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, I'm gonna change that to grid. I don't want to get any crash, so that's why I'm gonna change it to grid to disconnect the cloner from the mesh. And now I can go to modeling, and under the mesh you can see we have remesh. Just click on that and you can see we have a nice mesh, and it works really very fast. So now I can click OK, and now you can see we have dense and uniform number of vertices on the text. and now it should work fine. So let's go to cloner, and now we can go to mesh and we can click and pick it. It's already there, no need to click there. So now let's go to lid, and you can see we have even distribution on the text. And now let's go ahead and increase maybe 1200, and here we have it. Let's go ahead and change it to sphere. So before I change that, I like to lower this value. I don't want to get any crash now, so let's go ahead to the motion design, and let's go to mesh, and let's click on sphere and place it there, and let's drag it under the clone and delete the cube. Yes. And now let's go back to cloner and decrease this number maybe to 1000 or maybe 1500, and here we have it. We can change it to triangles too, it works fine. Let's go to range and maybe increase this one to 0.3 and this one 0.4, and we can hide now the text, and here we have the letters. Let's go back to the cloner. I like to increase that maybe to 3000 to fill it more, maybe 4000, and you can see it works really fast. It's updating very fast. Let's see, 0.2 by 0.2. Nice. If you want to cover the entire mesh with the clone objects, you need to increase the resolution of the remesh, increasing the count of the vertices and the triangles. So let's go ahead and hide the clone for now, and let's show the text, and let's go to modeling, and let's go to mesh and click on remesh again, and here you can increase the triangle count. So if I increase that, you can see I get more triangles on the mesh, and this will help the clone to cover the entire mesh. Let's go back there, and now I need to go to the layouts and increase that number. Maybe let's set it to 6000. You can see because we have more triangles or vertices, we can cover the entire text, so keep that in mind. So see you in the next lesson.